Bum-ba-da-dum. Howdy y'all, Banjo Ben here with BanjoBenClark.com, coming exclusively to all you Bluegrass Unlimited readers. If you're like me, you have a favorite magazine, and that favorite magazine is titled Bluegrass Unlimited. It's my honor to come to you today for a little miniature banjo lesson. You know, when I listen back to my favorite banjo players and I'm trying to figure out what they're doing, a lot of times they play something and I try to copy it, and mine just doesn't quite sound the way that theirs does. Have you been there? And what I will eventually typically figure out is that we are playing it just about the same. There's just maybe one little variation here or there, or maybe a little bit more weight or a little bit more accent on a note that I'm not doing. And that's really opened my mind to realize that we can have a lot of different sounding things without having to do a lot of different sounding licks. What I mean by that is you can have one lick, play it just with slight variations and get a lot of different feeling out of it. And I just want to demonstrate that for you with a very common lick today. I'm sure most of you are familiar and probably play what we would call the shave and the haircut. A lot of times we'll end our banjo tunes with something like this. And it's that second half, that shave and a haircut 2 bits, that what I want to talk about today, because also, if you're like me, you tend to settle into patterns. And so whenever you go to end a song like that, you play that lick the same way every time. And I just want to give you 3 variations on this little part that can set your playing apart a little bit and at least introduce some diversity in your playing and to make it a little more interesting. You can think about it every time you end a song. Now, the most common way that I play that is to start it off with a pinch. My wife says it's pinch. I say it's pinch. That's how we say it in East Texas, pinch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 9th fret on the 1st string with my index finger. And then I'm going to, with my ring finger, play the 11th fret of the 2nd string. And I'm going to pinch those 2 together. They're a half step apart. And I'm going to choke that 2nd string up just a little bit to where we get a little squeeze sound. Can you get that? So we pick it before we choke it, and then we choke it. And then to finish off that lick, I'm going to do this. I'll start off with my 5th string. So when you put all that together, it sounds like this. And then we jump up for the ending. Now, we want to come up with a couple different variations of that without having to do a lot of extra work, but it ends up sounding quite a bit different. And the first thing that you can do is, instead of pinching that first beat, we can turn that into more of a roll. We can turn it into a forward roll. So instead of a pinch, I'm just going to start with that choke. And then instead of playing the 9th fret on the first beat, I'm going to move it to the end of the first beat, just ahead, a half beat. Turn it into a roll so it sounds like this. Now that's not very much difference, is it? It's a pinch versus a roll. And back to back, they sound like this. It's not very much difference, but it sounds quite a bit different, doesn't it? It's not any extra work. We're doing this, we're asking for the same amount of work out of both of our hands, but it introduces some variation into our playing. Again, back to back. Or, pretty cool, huh? Well, we're not done there. There's another one that's really, really easy to grab. This time we can move the choke. Instead of the choke being on the first downbeat of the measure, I'm going to work it further into the roll. So I'm actually going to start the measure with my 5th string, thumb on the 5th string, and I'm going to do a forward roll. You do that? So 11 and 9, do a forward roll. Except, of course, I'm going to choke it whenever I play that 2nd string, so it sounds like this. Pretty cool. And then we're going to finish out the measure. Okay, can we do all 3 of them back to back to hear the variations? I bet we can. First, the choke, the pinch. Then the forward roll. And then the delayed forward roll. Okay, a little quicker back to back. Sounds like this. Pretty cool, huh? So we're not doing any extra work. We're not having to work out any extra rocket science calculations. We're taking the same notes and we're just moving them around slightly to where we get different variations. And I think that's what helps you become a better banjo player, a more diverse banjo player. And honestly, it becomes a lot more fun because the things that can become mundane in your playing, you can find ways to spice those up. And it's not just these endings. You can do that with all kinds of other things. In fact, let me leave you with a challenge. Is there another one that you can come up with using those same notes? I bet there is. I bet there's one or two or three more that you can come up with. I'd love for you to share that. You can tag me on any of the social media, tag Bluegrass Unlimited, and let me know if you've come up with any other variations. Maybe you can teach me one. Have a great day.